If you hold 1 ounce of gold in your hand, it does not look like much. It may look like a small bar, a coin, or a dense little object with a warm yellow surface. Most people immediately think of price. They think of jewelry, savings, investment, or something valuable enough to keep locked away. But there is a more interesting question. What can this small amount actually do? A gold ounce is usually a troy ounce, which is about 31.1 grams. That is small enough to hold easily, small enough to disappear inside a closed fist. But gold is unusual because its usefulness is not limited by its size. The first thing 1 ounce can do is change shape. Gold is highly malleable, which means it can be pressed, hammered, or rolled into very thin sheets. It is also ductile, which means it can be drawn into very fine wire. Those words sound technical, but the idea is simple. Gold can be flattened. Gold can be stretched. And it can do this without quickly losing the qualities that make it useful. This is why one small piece of gold can become visually much larger than the object you first held. When gold is made into leaf, it can become extremely thin. The exact area depends on how thin the leaf is made, so there is no single universal number that applies to every method. But the principle is clear. A small amount of gold can spread. That explains why gold has been used for decoration, art, architecture, religious objects, and fine surfaces. It does not need to be thick to be visible. Even a very thin layer can still carry the color and shine people recognize as gold. The same ounce can also move in another direction. Instead of becoming a sheet, it can become a line. Gold can be drawn into fine wire. Again, the exact length depends on the thickness of the wire. But the point is not to chase one impressive number. The point is that gold can become thin and still remain useful. So 1 ounce is not only a small lump of metal. It can become surface. It can become line. It can become detail. That is the transformation side of gold. Then there is the reliability side. Gold conducts electricity, but it is not the best conductor. Silver and copper are often better in pure conductivity terms. Gold's advantage is different. It resists tarnish and corrosion very well. That matters when a small electrical contact has to stay reliable over time. In some technical uses, small amounts of gold may appear in contacts, connectors, coatings, or bonding wire. This does not mean every device needs a lot of gold. It also does not mean 1 ounce can be turned into a fixed number of phones or computers. Modern devices vary too much for that kind of simple claim. A safer way to understand it is this. Gold is useful where the amount can be tiny, but the contact needs to remain dependable. A contact point may be hidden inside a connector or a circuit board. It may not look valuable. It may not even be noticed by the person using the device. But if that tiny surface needs to carry a signal and resist degradation, gold's material behavior can matter. In jewelry, gold is visible. In technology, gold can be almost invisible. But in both cases, the reason is connected to the same material qualities. It can be shaped, it can last, and it can keep its surface stable. This brings us to the part people usually recognize first: trust. Gold's value is not purely scientific. If people did not care about it, it would not carry the same cultural or financial meaning. But gold's value is also not purely imaginary. People did not choose gold only because it was shiny. They responded to a material that could be held, shaped, preserved, recognized, and passed on. It was beautiful, but it was also durable. It could become jewelry, but it could also survive time. It could be made thin, but still remain visibly gold. It could be stored, exchanged, inherited, and recognized across different places and periods. That does not make this an investment argument. This is not a prediction about gold prices, and it is not advice to buy gold. It simply explains why trust around gold is easier to understand when you first understand the material. The physical behavior came first. The human meaning grew around it. So what can 1 ounce of gold actually do? It can sit in your hand as a small dense object. It can be flattened into a thin, visible surface. It can be stretched into fine wire. It can help create reliable contact in tiny technical places. And it can carry trust because people recognize in gold something that feels stable, lasting, and difficult to replace. By the end, 1 ounce of gold is no longer only a price unit. It is a small piece of material possibility. The same ounce that looks simple in the hand can become surface, line, connection, preservation, and trust. That is why gold remains unusual. Not only because people prize it, but because a small amount can still do more than its size suggests.